now.
Big city stage. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. Former President Trump appearing tonight at New York's Madison Square Garden.
Former President Trump is expected to use his rally at the iconic sports and entertainment venue to present his closing argument to voters as the race against Vice President Kamala Harris is neck and neck. The event at Madison Square Garden isn't just a chance for Trump to boost down-ballot Republicans. It's also a fundraiser for the Trump campaign, which is offering donors backstage access with some packages costing more than $900,000. Harris is planning a closing argument of her own. It's set for Tuesday at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C., where Trump spoke ahead of the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
World leaders continue to try and lower the temperature in the Middle East.
World leaders are calling for de-escalation following Israel's strikes against Iran. The IDF says it was in retaliation to Tehran's recent massive missile attack. They claim to have hit military targets that did not include nuclear or energy sites. At least 4 members of Iran's military were reportedly killed. Iran, though, appears to be downplaying the strikes overall, reporting limited damage.
The White House saying it was notified ahead of the Friday night attack, but said it was not involved. Nearly 130 people are dead and missing after massive flooding and landslides in the Philippines. The number of dead expected to rise. President Ferdinand Marcos saying the storm dumped 1 to 2 months worth of rainfall on some areas in just a span of 24 hours. World Series Game 2 in the books. The Dodgers beat the Yankees 4-2. L.A. now leads that series 2-0.
Right center field. Judge is back. It is gone. Teoscar Hernandez puts the Dodgers back in front.
The Dodgers would not relinquish that lead. That call on Fox Game 3 Monday night, Yankee Stadium in New York on Fox. America's listening to Fox News.
The world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Interesting people are talking to Will Kane.
I said, what do I call you? I call you Dwayne. I call you The Rock. He said, now that I own it, I can call you The Rock.
Yes, I own it now. You can call me The Rock.
Our next guest needs no introduction. It is Dr. Jordan Peters, my old friend and frenemy, Stephen A. Smith.
What is going on here? I see the Will Kane show in the background. I see the microphone.
Watch it live at noon Eastern, Monday through Thursday on foxnews.com. And get the podcast 5 days a week at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download your
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A fire happened. It's sunny and 51. I'm Jake McDaniel. Here's what's trending at 11:03. Over 50 Hoosier veterans lost their homes Saturday night after a fire broke out at a veterans facility, which is operated by Helping Veterans and Families in downtown Indianapolis.
That's the problem. We're setting up on the Charlie Delta corner.
It took fire crews over 3 hours to control the fire. A few veterans were slightly hurt, and most of the units were a total loss. The vets are staying in nearby hotels for now. Democratic candidate for governor Jennifer McCormick visited a few Hoosier counties Saturday in order to attend Get Out the Vote rallies. In a video posted to social media, she encouraged her followers,
"Go vote early, get your friends and your family. Let's do this, Hoosiers."
McCormick is running against Mike Braun and Donald Rainwater for governor. Election day is Tuesday, November 5th. Indiana University football is now 8-0 after they beat the Washington Huskies 31-17. The IU Hoosiers have always led this year and were never behind in points, and Saturday was consistent.
This is unlike any other thing I've ever seen. I graduated in '87, and I've never seen Indiana football like this before. It is amazing.
A fan talking to IU Radio Network. The Hoosiers play at Michigan State on November 2nd. You're paying an average of $2.94 a gallon of gas today, says AAA. That's down 13 cents from last week and down 13 cents from last month and 19 cents below the national average. WIBC News Time at 11:04, and here's the forecast brought to you by the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
For today, a cool start, lots of sunshine, high temperatures in the lower 60s. Tonight, mostly clear skies, our low temperatures in the upper 30s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse. For 93 WIBC.
On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
At Shane Company, we make finding your perfect engagement ring fun and easy. Because let's be honest, you might feel a little stressed out. We get it. That's why we do all the hard stuff. It's our job to bring you the biggest selection of beautiful diamonds and colorful gemstones, so many amazing settings, and all the customization your heart desires. We've got your style and your price range covered, and we're here to guide you every step of the way. Come in for a warm welcome and leave with your dream ring and an experience you'll never forget. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
At Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, we're good at insurance. But not just any insurance. We're good at fireworks don't go in the attic insurance. Hole in window insurance. Even guy that shouldn't have a chainsaw but has a chainsaw insurance. Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
Central Indiana, and welcome to the first day. The WIBC Sunday Magazine show is August 27th.
Whoa. October.
October.
Woman, I got enough issues with things that without you screwing me out of 60 days.
Seriously, didn't go to sleep until 4 o'clock, after 4 a.m.
Are you still drinking?
Up at 6 to step in cat vomit that was everywhere.
Oh, Terri.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
I didn't know you had a cat.
I got all the cats.
You got feral cats.
I got all.
You got cats. It's a cat house over there.
And
That's
at the
all I'm
moment,
saying.
we have mostly senior cats, and so their stomachs are very sensitive.
And so are their bladders.
Oh, man. And then luckily, I kept the dog away because the dog likes to sometimes lap up.
It's the first day, and it really is
bedlam.
October.
It's bedlam.
It's not August.
It is October, and I was up late because I just was watching continuously until about 1 o'clock, I guess, and then just couldn't fall asleep. The awful fire, the devastation here in downtown Indianapolis with an organization that I have loved from their very beginning. They're a fairly young organization, and that's HVAF, and that stands for Hoosier Veterans and Families. And I know you all know this story by now, but holy cow, Denny, when I saw the 35 IFD units had been dispatched, this all started around 9:35. This is about 10th and Pennsylvania.
They got the veterans to hotels. They did take care of them, but it was an ugly fire.
It was a devastating fire to this organization, which is small and mighty. But there are so many great organizations that have done great work for them, including, you've heard them here, Hokies and Hops, and also Tango Distillery. Just great people that do come out for them. But here's what they need. As I was watching the WTHR Channel 13 camera that is atop their building that looks down directly on, which is right across from the building we'll be moving to very soon.
On St. Joseph Street.
On St. Joseph Street, the Radio 1 building. But next to it then is this wonderful place for veterans and their families. And anyway, just watching that, I was noticing in the chat, people were saying, how can we help? How can we help? And I reached out this morning to that great organization. And Lauren Carpenter, thank you for getting back to us right away, hoping that we'd have an opportunity to talk to HVAF CEO Emmy Hildebrand. But at the moment, this is an investigation that is going on, and they're going to decline interviews right now until I know more. I know that Emmy was meeting with IFD this morning, and it was shortly after that I heard. And we were going to talk to her this morning, and shortly after we got the note back from Lauren that says, at the moment, this is an investigation, and we're asked to not do any interviews right now. And I completely understand.
That's fair.
But that doesn't mean we can't help them. HVAF.org. If you've got a little change in your pocket right now, a little extra something, I know there are going to be more needs that are coming up. Perhaps they'll need clothes. Perhaps they'll need, they always need hygiene products and things like that. But Denny, I think this was in the community center of HVAC. Or
where the fire started, you mean?
HVAF, which on fire. Pretty good sized building. but the firefighters, God bless them, they got it out eventually after 1 o'clock. 51 occupants were displaced. 46 of the 51 occupants were accounted for as of this release, which came to us this morning at 3:40 a.m. 39 units lost. 3 occupants transported to Eskenazi with slight injury. That comes from our friend Rita Reith, the battalion chief with IFD. So I know we'll keep you up to date on what's happening, because I know that captured our attention, especially when we're talking about homeless veterans, that people that served our country that are on some bad luck, having some bad luck.
Right. And if you're in commercial real estate, you're aware of a property that's empty and might be able to be a temporary facility for folks like this, you reach out to them. They are taking the calls. It may not be the time to talk about the source or what's happened, but they're certainly going to talk to you if you've got help. If you've got help for them to solve the.
That's great, Denny.
They got a real estate problem right now.
That's right. You're right. Okay, so that's great information. Truly. Again, HVAF.org is where you can go. And if you've got some extra money, please, I hope you put it in that direction at this moment. These are people that served our country, and they are without a home right now. So shelter.
And look who's over on the board. The Wicked Witch.
Oh, that's Denny.
The
That's
Wisp,
Kielynn Tally. I'm sorry, Kielynn. I wasn't
with the beautiful
avoiding
yellow
you.
hair, or is it orange? I can't even remember what color.
Yellow.
Yellow. You always wanted to be a real blonde, didn't you?
I thought about it. I thought about getting a blonde wig so I could dress up as Taylor Swift for Halloween.
Oh my!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
What are we?
no.
How many days away?
Oh, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
I got a little niece who's 11 years old, and all she can talk about is what she's going to wear. I mean,
it's a big
such
deal.
a deal.
It's a big deal. The
Natalie?
Swifties. We're going to talk to the author of this book. If you're watching us online, we're streaming on YouTube right now. This book, it's a beautiful hardcover book. I don't know if I'm going to give it away or not, but she is a music journalist and written some fantastic books. Her name is Annie Zaleski, and we'll chat with her a little bit about Taylor Swift and truly how she falls as far as legends goes, because she's still very young and amazing what she's done.
I think she's a great businesswoman.
She's a great businesswoman, great marketer.
Study what she's done for her staff.
Yep.
She's just an incredible business person.
So I just want to do this because I'm having the best time. Mostly, this is why I don't sleep, is I'm having the best time with ChatGPT.
Oh, my gosh.
And I can ask it anything. And so I asked it I just simply said, Denny and Kielynn, write me a poem about the first day show with Terri, Denny, and Kielynn.
You didn't.
And in the blink of an eye, it put out this poem. May I have a little poem music?
Oh man, I wish I were ready.
This is unbelievable, Denny, how it works.
All right, you're going to do a dramatic reading, or are you just going to do a reading?
Oh, Denny, you read it.
Oh.
You do a dramatic reading. I think you'll like it. It'll come better from you. Come over here. Okay. Denny's going to read this poem that ChatGPT
Of course, you do this to me. I've never seen this copy before.
That's why I think it's going to make you cry.
I think it's even better.
Yeah. Okay. We're
All right,
ready.
you ready,
Everybody
Kai?
sit back. Here we go.
The first day show.
Love the music.
In the morning glow, excitement brews. With Terri, Denny, and Kielynn's views, the stage is set, the lights are bright. New stories bloom in the dawn's first light. Terri's laughter warm and clear. A welcoming voice that draws us near, with wisdom shared and smiles to spark. She lights the path, igniting the arc.
So funny.
Denny steps in, a spark of flair with quick wit and charm. He fills the air. I just winked at the camera. There we go. All right. He heaves the tales of joy and cheer, turning each moment into something dear. And Kielynn shines, a vibrant voice. Her energy flows like a rushing course. With passion and grace, she guides the way, inviting us all to join in the play. Together they dance to the stories and dreams, creating a tapestry of laughter and beams. On this first day, as the journey begins, they invite us all to the world that spins. So here's to the trio with hearts so bright, bringing us joy from morning to night. In the spirit of friendship, together they glow. Here's to the magic of the first day show. I love this. This is pretty good. It's written by a frickin' AI.
I think I'm going to have them write my wedding vows.
I think you should. You can have them write anything. I'm telling you.
Good.
For God's sakes, lady, do not let them do my funeral.
It's amazing.
Okay? Not let them do my
I think
funeral.
they got you pretty well.
You
do bring a flair,
That's
but you make
good.
everything.
Kielynn, I just love it. I think it's so much fun. I'm just having the most fun with it. Coming up today, thank you, Denny. That was a fine reading, by the way. Coming up today, we've got women's professional tackle football, and Indy is going to get a team. Denny Smith with dollars and cents. But coming up next, it's scary story time. Have you heard about the mill race monster in Columbus? First seen at this time 50 years ago. And for those of you watching us on YouTube, remind me of some of your spooky stories too. You know, like the House of Blue Lights and some of those great stories. If you're watching us on YouTube, just give me a reminder. Take me down the nostalgia lane. Okay, but coming up next, we're going to hear about the mill race monster right here on the first day, 93 WIBC.
We sure were doing the time warp. Libertarian Dragon, a fellow listener on our YouTube chat, said Terri was doing the time warp when she said it was August and not October.
It's not that anybody was listening, but he caught it right away.
He did. They sure did. And so here's a little throw out to you. And it's a song that I keep listening to over and over again in my Halloween playlist, which, speaking of Halloween, in all of your haunted stories, go on that YouTube chat, share your haunted stories. And I think one of the best ones is,
This year marks the 50th anniversary of the beginning of a legend that is still talked about today in Columbus, Indiana. I can't wait to talk about this, the Mill Race Monster. And here with us to share everything he knows is Hoosier illustrator and cartoonist Kevin Ziegler at the Zig Zone is where you'll find him. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. And did you grow up in or around Columbus?
Yep, born and raised in Columbus.
And when did you first learn of the legend of the Mill Race Monster? Were you a kid or were you a grown-up?
You know, it actually wasn't until a few years ago. I had a friend kind of tell me as a barstool tale, and everything kind of happened from there.
You know, you just released a comic book that tells the story of the Mill Race Monster, which began in 1974. Do we know why is it called the Mill Race Monster?
Well, there's a local park here in town called Mill Race. It's named that, I believe, because there used to be an old mill there that was taken down, and it kind of became dilapidated, and then eventually it became the site for monsters and such.
Tell us the story that goes back to 1974 when it begins with, I think, some teenagers, right?
Yes, correct. So it started in the early months of November. Oddly enough, it seems like most stories, kind of take place at night, but this one began in the middle of the day. There were two teens that said that across the fishing hole they saw a giant green 7-foot-tall hairy monster. And then from there, it was another 4 teenagers that they saw it later that night and were actually attacked by it in their car. And then 2 days later, you had 2 teenage boys say they saw it in the woods. And it really kind of just became a wildfire of a story from those early accounts.
And there's articles written about the Mill Race Monster, and they went to the police. I mean, the police knew about this monster too, right?
Correct, yeah. Yeah, the police actually, when they got the story from the girls, they kind of laughed it off, but through what would end up being this giant kind of monster hunt, air quote, the region, they set up a quote-unquote monster hunting team that was kind of in jest.
This all really happened. That part isn't a legend at all. There really was.
No, yeah.
The police got involved and set up a manhunt or a monster hunt, and people came from everywhere.
Yeah, there were over, they say, I think it was over 200 out-of-state cars that were in Mill Race looking for the monster, and it was because of kind of safety issues that the park director basically shut everything down, and in fear for the monster's life, and of course teens that were trying to attack a monster that was in the woods.
First, it started with about 4 teenagers. That later that evening, a couple of girls were in this same place at Mill Race Park. They said they were the ones that were attacked, and they have the proof of it because the car has scratches on it, right? And slime. Is that right, or is that part of the legend?
No, that's actually part of the account. Also, yes, slime. I found it very interesting. If you look at, there's only 4 actual accounts of the monster from eyewitnesses, and they all kind of have their own take on saw.
Yeah.
Those girls saw giant slimy, smelly kind of creature. Yeah, can't forget the smell. There were boys 2 days later, I believe, that they said when they saw it, it was like this more mysterious shape. It wasn't a giant, tall, hulking monster. It was more of like a hidey, kind of behind a tree, cylinder type thing. And so I find that quite interesting.
Before, as we mentioned, Kevin Ziegler is with us. He's an illustrator. He's a cartoonist.
in Columbus at the Zig Zone. He's created a comic book because of it's the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, you got to keep local legends alive somehow, and what better way than making a comic book?
To create it, what does it look like in your mind?
First of all, it was super interesting to me growing up here in Columbus. Columbus is a pretty clean-cut kind of city. We have architecture and we have the arts in this town, Cummins diesel engines. But, this is kind of different in that it's a little hair-raising. It's a little messy. There is no, clear-cut answer. Some people have heard of the legend. Others haven't. For a small town like Columbus, that fascinates me.
Aaron Hawkins from Columbus tells me that there was a release party for your comic book recently, and it was a pretty cool event. A lot of people come out and tell stories about that, or just fun for them to reminisce about the story.
Yeah, there was a good plethora of people. There's some who were just there for dress up and community. Others were very interested in the story and just recently heard about it. And then there were a couple people that, knew of the story as it happened or were there. Yeah, my mom even, she was talking to me a little bit before when I was making the project and told me, they used to call it Millie, and that she was always terrified of the creature that lived in Norris. Her older siblings had no recollection of it.
Where's everybody buying your comic book?
So right now, through the Arts Council here in town, we are selling it at the Visitor Center. So if you're here in Columbus, the Visitor Center has it, and then also for the foreseeable month, the gallery will have it.
Hey, what's that park like now? I mean, is it kind of creepy at night?
If you know the story, it makes it creepier. But in the 90s, there was a huge renovation that happened all in Norris. And I don't want to say it's because of this Norris monster, but I do have suspicions that that's why they were like, no, let's make it nice and clean.
Let's clean it up a little bit and make sure it doesn't scare people away. Has anybody seen it since those days or had any kind of fun stories to tell since?
There have yet to be any more sightings.
Oh, that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I know, right? Not the end you want. No, we talk about it every day. Somebody talks about it, and I see it. Since that week.
Oh, wow. What was that? Kevin? That was Kevin Ziegler, illustrator and cartoonist at the Zig Zone. Kevin? The Zig Zone in Columbus. That was a very strange sound. And now he's not here. And that's just strange since we've been talking about the mill race monster with Kevin Ziegler, illustrator, cartoonist at the Zig Zone. Kevin?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, what about that?
I hope Kevin's okay.
That was kind of spooky.
Don't you think
Terri
that's kind of weird?
Only you could pull that off.
I think that's just very,
Is that legit?
very,
Did you lose him?
Did you hear the noise?
Yeah, I did. Heard the noise.
I couldn't possibly do anything about the noise, and now he's gone. So
you're spooking me out.
We need to
Terri
get to the news. HVAF.org if you'd like to help out some good people that lost their homes last night. It was an awful fire at 10th and Pennsylvania. You'll hear more about that coming up in the news. Thanks for joining us here on the first day. Kevin?
93 WIBC.
Are you in a friendly curb
Good morning and welcome back to the first day of the WIBC Sunday Magazine Show. Terri Stacy along with Denny Smith and Kielynn Talley here with you. We started out the conversation this morning about the fire, the building fire. Dozens of veterans displaced after that fire in downtown Indianapolis last night. That's the HVAC building, and as we mentioned, tried to get a hold of our friends there and had conversations with them, but they're declining interviews right now because there is an investigation. But dozens of our homeless veterans are looking for a place to be and to shelter. They're there. They're in hotels right now, but they're going to need our help. And a lot of you have been asking, how can we help? HVAF.org. That's the best place to start, and we'll know more about those needs here in the next few days, I'm sure, and also find out soon, I hope, as to what really happened. But at the moment, we've got 46 of those 51 occupants that were accounted for as of the IFD release that came to us this morning, and that was pretty early, about 3:40 this morning, from our friends Rita Reith. And God bless all those firefighters. 35 IFD units were dispatched for that massive fire at 10th and Pennsylvania. We've got more news that just occurred here in the last few minutes. Joining us now is WIBC News Director John Herrick. Hello, John.
Good morning, Terry. How are you?
We're good. It sounds like you're on the road. Are you okay?
I sure am, yes. It's been a busy time. We had IU football yesterday. We go on the air for the IU basketball exhibition game at 2 o'clock, which is going to be on WIBC, of course. And then just moments ago, we found out that Indiana Fever head coach Christy Sides was fired after 2 seasons as the head coach of the team. So it has been a busy 24 hours, as I know you know well.
It has been, but there was been chatter throughout this last season about Christy Sides, and so I don't know. Are you surprised?
I am a little bit, because they got off to a very slow start. A lot of that was because of the schedule that they played and how brutal it was. I know some fans that I spoke with were not happy that Caitlin Clark, of course, the rookie sensation who is selling out arenas everywhere. I know some fans were frustrated that she wasn't playing enough early on, and then their record wasn't great. But I thought, though, as the season went through and she was able to get to the playoffs and this team was able to get to the postseason, I thought that might have at least bought her more time.
Me too.
Is the way that I thought that it would at least buy her more time. It was a 6th-place finish. First playoff appearance, though, in 8 seasons for the Fever. And I know the overall record isn't great. It's like 33-48 with her, but I'm still a little surprised that they didn't at least hang on to her for at least another season. But there may be some things going on internally that we don't know about. But I definitely thought she had at least a little more time.
Me too. I really did, because it went out. I mean, I know we went as far as we went, but I thought well, maybe she would, like they'll give her a little bit more time here as the team really started to gel. Now, John, who could be next?
I was just going to ask the same thing. Was there anything else in the release?
You know what? I'm not sure. That might be somebody that, they might promote an assistant coach from within to lead the team, but that might be an assistant coach that Christy Sides had a hand in bringing here, so they may not go that route. This might be a route where they decide to go externally rather than internally. But the other thing that's interesting about this, guys, is that this is kind of becoming a trend in the WNBA. This is the 5th head coach firing so far this offseason. I mean, the Dallas Wings fired Latricia Trammell after the team finished second to last in the regular season. The Los Angeles Sparks, Chicago Sky, and the Atlanta Dream also have coaching vacancies because they fired their coaches. So it's been a wild WNBA offseason just from the time that the seasons ended for those respective teams. And I don't know if that's maybe because some of these teams in the WNBA feel more pressure to win now because there's more visibility on their league, or if they just are taking a more proactive approach. I don't know. But it'll be certainly if the Fever want to go externally, there's other head coaches now that have been fired from other organizations that they might feel could be a good fit for the Fever, but they could go any number of directions on this.
Yeah, I just wonder if none of those other coaches had been fired, if Christy Sides could have remained here for another year.
Possibly.
But somebody out there looks good to the Fever, I'll betcha.
Yeah,
now,
John,
I don't know anything, but
John, as far as staying in-house, there are so many Colts fans that always wanted Peyton Manning to come back as the head coach.
Oh,
how about that? No, I'm thinking about Tamika Catchings. Do you think Tamika would ever want to get into coaching?
Oh, yeah,
is that a potential?
That's an interesting theory, Denny. I don't know that she would want to do that because I think she's had a front office role before, and I don't really think that really suits her. I don't really know that she loves doing that. But again, here's the thing that is definitely interesting about this is that nobody in the WNBA has had the opportunity to coach a player like Caitlin Clark in a long, long time. So that might be something that, brings her back out of that. I mean, she was the vice president of basketball operations and the general manager for the Fever from 2020 to 2022. However, those were not great years for the Fever, as you all probably well know. So right. But then again, coaching is a lot different than being the basketball president of operations and the general manager. So,
John, they always said that coaching is being the zookeeper. No, I'm sorry. Coaching is not being the zookeeper. Coaching is dancing on the nose of the alligator 23 and a half hours a day. I mean, somebody's always out to bite you. Somebody's always out to bite you.
John Herrick is with us. John, are you having the best time with IU?
Oh, I mean, yesterday, Terry, was an amazing day. Yeah. I talked to some IU football fans after the game that graduated from Indiana that were there from the 70s and the 80s, and they were just like, we have watched so many years of dismal football, hoping that this would finally be the year that would turn things around, and it never happened, and then it never happened. And then Kurt Cignetti gets hired. He fires up the fan base, and everybody still says, well, yeah, every coach that comes in as a new coach, they always say they're going to turn things around, but it never happens. And it's refreshing that he is basically doing everything he said he set out to do at this point. So yesterday was one of the toughest games they've had all season, I think. I mean, it was 17-14 early in the third quarter, and things were looking kind of in doubt there for a little bit, but then Indiana goes on like a 7-minute drive down the field. They get a touchdown. They go back up by 10, and they've won every game that they've played by double digits this year.
It's just amazing.
It is such an incredible season.
I know it. They were tailgating. Now, I know game day was there yesterday, but they were tailgating. Yep. I saw them like at 6:30. They were out there tailgating, getting ready for everybody.
You talk about patient Hoosier fans.
It's amazing the turnaround to watch everybody jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah,
the IU
John,
bandwagon.
When are we going to hear more from the Fever management? When will we hear more?
I don't. They released a statement. I would imagine they probably wouldn't say anything. Typically, how these things go, Denny, is that they release the statement and then they probably won't say anything else until they hire a new coach, and then that's when they bring a press conference in, and they usually won't want to talk until they have the new press conference with the new coach. That's typically how these things go. But I've sent an email out to them, and we'll see if they respond. But I'm not hopeful that will happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not today, anyway. Not today. Hey, John, great job always. Thanks for checking in with us, and great job with IU yesterday. And we'll see you back here in studio tomorrow morning at bright and early.
Okay.
Thanks for today.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You
no
betcha.
Problem.
11:44. Denny coming up. Dollars and cents.
Got some interesting things. What are the things? It's sort of the spooky season. What are the 10 things that can scare you to death with money?
Oh, that's good. Perfect.
All
right. All right. Thank you. We'll take a break. 93 WIBC. John Herrick on the scene. Well, I don't know if he's there at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, but
he might have been driving for breakfast. But the
He
point
might have
is,
been.
he had the scoop. He knew what was going on.
We'll see here in a minute. Thank you, John. And we've got more for you, too, on how you can help those homeless veterans now that need our help after 10th and Pennsylvania last night, that blazing massive fire. We've got more for you coming up. HVAC, I do it every time, hvaf.org. That's where you'll go if you'd like to help out. Denny Smith now, dollars and cents. Hit it, Kielynn. Start over. That was terrible. I'd like to do that whole segment over.
Why?
Oh, and I keep forgetting we're on the YouTube. I'm sorry that y'all have to keep seeing my profile.
Terry.
I don't want to rant. Are we on?
There are friends, too.
Rob doesn't like it when we move the camera.
We've got 6
And
people
he's such a
watching.
superstar. Is there 6?
6 people.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here.
That's 6 more than nothing.
I'm so grateful.
Just remember.
Denny says,
well,
you've got a friend in Denny.
Dollars and cents.
This week for dollars and cents, I have a lot of people that send me really neat things to bring up for dollars and cents. Some of them are old colleagues. Some of them are current colleagues. And Terri Stacy Kai sent me this piece this week that I sort of like it. It's Marilyn Dietz, who's a senior financial writer. And she's got the creds. I mean, this is no knucklehead woman who's just scooping up a story and trying to blather on about things. But she's talking about emergency funds. Now, all of us should have an emergency fund. When I was practicing CFP as a professional, one of the things that I always ask people is, what do you want to accomplish? And as soon as they started to tell me their dreams and what they want to do, then the next question would be, do you have an emergency fund? They go, what you talking about, Willis?
I know, so we don't have it.
Nobody
Kylan, do you
has
have
it.
an emergency
I have savings.
kit or a
savings. I have a general portion of it.
Good job.
Set aside to emergencies.
Good for you at a young age. Terrific.
That is the first thing that we do when we build a financial plan for people. We have to insist that they have an emergency fund. Do you know why, Terry?
Because emergencies happen.
No kidding. They happen and they screw up all
The
these
worst
best
time.
laid plans, It's like a surgeon going into the operating room and he forgot to wash his hands.
I just saw Allison. Go ahead.
A
Hi,
squirrel.
Allison, if you're in the building.
If you've not seen the movie Up, and somebody says squirrel and every dog in the room looks around.
Squirrel.
That's Terri Stacy.
You better get to
Anyway,
this information because it really is important.
What we want to do is we want to make sure that we have a stash of cash for the emergencies that come along. And I was surprised at the emergencies that come along, and they weren't the ones that I always remember. The ones that I remember is transmission goes out on the car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's one, but I think that's 6 down the list. The number one surprise that gets into your emergency fund is medical expenses. And for those of us who have had a tooth or something go off, you go to the dentist now. The dentist is not the cheapest professional in the world. And once they get in there, they start finding other things and other things and other things. And dental insurance doesn't cover it, but it's medical expenses that really are the number one hits against your emergency fund. Second one was job loss. Now, I've never been fired from a job, but I've had to fire people from jobs. And one of the things that I always wanted to make sure of is that they had a little bit of a cushion, whether that was severance pay or whatever. But job losses can go on anywhere from 6 days to 6 months, and you've got to make sure that you've got some money back that can take care of your living expenses. We say that
How much would you think?
At least 6 months' expenses is what we shoot for.
So that's how much you should actually have in your
house payment.
Your emergency fund.
Yeah, everything that you would spend on a regular basis. That's
6 months.
Yeah, that's not luxuries like
hard.
going out to eat or anything. It is. Think about how much you spend for your house payment, your car payment, basic food, and things like that. Vehicle problems was number 3. I thought it was number 6, but that was the one that I was caught by. You'd blow a tire or something, and then all of a sudden you've got. And I don't know if you guys have put tires on your cars recently. Dear Lord in heaven,
They are not cheap.
they are proud of those tires.
I
That's
know
what
it.
I will say. Here's another one: banking fees and penalties. People who bounce a check, all of a sudden the things start to compound, and then not only do you get a fee from your bank for bouncing the check, but the people you bounce the check against assess insurance or different fees against you. That's a pretty big one. Home repairs and appliance replacement. I don't know about home repairs. Maybe a tree falls on the roof and you got to call Michaelis or somebody. But appliances, When they go down, they go down. If it's your washing machine or your, as Mary Kay Place
and
says,
they all go at the same time.
your frigidaire.
They always, and they don't make them like they used to, so you just can't count on them lasting for a lifetime anymore.
You know, there are really good appliance repair people. I like Matthew's appliance repair, but he'll be the first one to tell you this is not worth fixing. We had a dishwasher go out, and I thought I had bought a dishwasher. He told me the pump was going to be $900. I go, Jiminy, John. I said, I might as well buy a new one. He says, yes. So it's not fix or repair anymore. It's replace. So that was number 5 on the list. Death of a family member. Many people do not have the financial resources to pay for a funeral. And Terry, you've just gone through a funeral with a family member. You lost your daddy.
I'm shocked
Wasn't
at the
it?
cost.
Didn't it take your breath away?
It took my breath away. And now I know why you see all those commercials on TV that say, don't you worry, you'll be okay when I go. I'm making sure you're taken care of.
Yeah.
Because it's outrageous how much it costs
to
die.
It is, they've got rules and regulations too. You can't bury somebody without a vault. Okay, the vault costs like $700 to $800 minimum, unless you want the waterproof style, and that's $1,500. So
on a casket, I mean the whole thing.
All right, so before you die, then you might be a caretaker. Caretakers, oh my goodness, you took care of your daddy. You do know the
Well,
the
I mean,
drill.
I just do know from the Caregiver show.
Yeah, from the Caregiver Crossing. Legal issues, victim of a crime, divorce or separation. All right, so here's the typical cost for a divorce or a separation. So, Terry, if you're getting ready to divorce me, this is how much it's going to cost you. We've been married for a long time now.
Yeah.
$1,500 for a contested divorce. $15,000 for a contested divorce, plus additional costs and stuff. That's a lot of money.
Oh, my gosh.
Just to kick me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, here's the rule.
Good to know.
Here's the rule that I want you to follow. Try to get 6 months set aside, but you don't do anything. This is like losing weight. You got to lose 1 pound first. So set aside $100 a couple weeks, get it up to $500, get it up to $600. Then eventually the goal is to get it up to 6 months of your expenses. Then these surprises won't be as shattering as they can be.
Thank you, Denny Smith. Dollars and cents. Appreciate it.
You bet.
A lot of news happening.
By the way, I
we're gonna get to
enjoyed
it.
the marriage while we had it. It's going to cost you $15,000 to dump me.
I mean,
Just have Denny pay for it.
No, wait a minute.
That's our daughter, Kielynn.
Yeah, that's our daughter,
Coming
Kielynn.
through. All right, we've got another hour to go, but today's top stories are coming up next. 93 WIBC.
Your business needs a network.
the first day, the WIBC Sunday Magazine Show. We have sunny skies, 57 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. I'm Terri Stacy along with...
I'm Denny Smith, and I can scratch my nose without you seeing it on YouTube. The camera is now on Kielynn.
I was kind of concerned with where that was going.
Yeah,
Not going to lie.
Scratch my nose. My nose.
Now you get the picture of beautiful Kielynn. Hi, Kielynn.
Hello. Hi, friends.
I just want to mention again, I want to start out this second hour again, and you heard it in the news, but our hearts are with those at HVAF this morning and all the firefighters, 35, I think it was, units deployed for the massive fire at 10th and Penn last night. Started about 9:30 or so, I guess. But didn't get that fire contained until after 1 o'clock. And the pictures are horrific that we were watching as that fire just burned out of control for what felt like forever. But IFD doing everything they can and did. But now they need some help at hvaf.org. We've got about 182 vets that live on the streets in Indy this year, and my number could be wrong, but it's about that. HVAF serves about 1,300 plus vets a year and their families. That's what they're about, helping veterans and families. Indiana's largest nonprofit provider for homeless veterans and their families, and they're fairly young. But they have been doing amazing work, and we don't know what's gone and what's not. We know this was a community center, so we know that they're going to need some help as the veterans are now in hotels and in the downtown area, I suppose, in this area, as they got everybody out of there. Now, last I heard, yes,
Terry,
Denny.
their saying has always been, no hero should ever be homeless. And that's what this whole organization was about. Well, now even where they were going to keep from being homeless, now they're homeless. We've got them in hotels, and we got 2 still in the hospital, if I remember right. So,
is that right, Denny?
Yeah.
I've been trying to keep up with all the accounts.
Yeah, it's hvaf.indiana.org.
Yes, and I'll tell you, whatever you can spare at the moment, because there is loss there. But we have not heard about loss of life. But 46 of the 51 occupants were accounted for as of the release from IFD Rita Reith this morning. But that was about 3:40 this morning when that press release came. I checked in with HVAF because we have a connection here at WIBC with them, and me too, personally, and checked in to see if we could talk to HVAF CEO Emmy Hildebrand. And she said she was meeting with IFD, and Lauren Carpenter was our kind of a go-between who works with HVAF too. And she said later on that it wasn't going to happen today because there's an investigation going on. So we'll wait to hear more about perhaps what caused that fire and more. I know there's lots to learn, but certainly keep those folks in your prayers too. And our thanks to IFD that did so much to help in any way that they could last night to battling that awful fire at 10th and Penn. Again, we've got 57 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. We got a Colts game, guys.
Go Colts!
Yeah,
Go
we
Colts.
just had Corbin in here giving us his
Colts gear.
opinion about this. Is going to be a tough game. He says the defense scares him to death. So.
Well, I will tell you, I don't think we have a thing to worry about because, as you remember, I told you the story about the 2 teachers here in central Indiana
the research?
that were keeping research, and their statistics
Now, wait a minute. My baloney factor just sort of triggered. Are you going to give me some baloney about statistics?
This is a true study.
It's a true study, and it worked last week. When Taylor Swift does not go to a Chiefs game, the Colts win for some odd reason. She's in New Orleans at her tour on her tour, so she won't be going to the Chiefs game. So she wasn't there last weekend. Guess what? We won. She's not going to be at the Chiefs game today.
You're making this stuff up.
Colts are going to win. It's the stats.
Okay, so I have to choose between Corbin, who is a sports fanatic and knows what he's talking about, and you.
Uh-huh.
And the 2 teachers.
Right.
Okay, I'm putting $5 on Terry Lynn and Kielynn.
I also want to mention leaf peepers. We're about to lose the leaves because we've got really strong winds coming tomorrow. Maybe even this afternoon a little bit. I'm not a forecaster, but I've been watching, and it looks like we could have 25. Somebody said 25 to 50 mile an hour gusts tomorrow. So for those of you that are leaf peeping, today's the last day to peep. Again, I'm not a but I feel like the wind is coming. We've already lost so many in just the breeze. So I'm guessing that this one's going to be knocking down a lot of those leaves.
Now, how can you go from the positivity that the Colts are going to win to the negativity that we're going to lose all of our leaves?
I know it. I just did.
You're a woman. You're a fickle woman. That's what you are. Fickle.
Do you guys want to hear the song from this week?
Oh, sure. For Colts?
Sure.
For Colts?
Okay. Yeah?
This is our Colts. How am I doing?
I honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, he redid it. We're going again.
Oh.
Yo, this is our Colts.
We got a little yo.
Team. We bleed blue. This is our Colts. Whether win or lose, we love them.
Yes, we do.
Horseshoe, beat the Texans. Horns down on Stroud's turf. This is our team. Go Colts.
There we go. Wow, I love him.
Oh,
I just love him.
There are music
Doesn't
teachers
stop.
across the county that are holding their ears right now.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. All right. Shall we take a break? Because coming up, we've got in this hour, Kielynn Talley's going to talk about women's professional tackle football that is coming to Indiana. And did you talk to the founder?
Yeah, talk to the founding owner.
Okay, founding owner of the Indy. Are they the Indy Valor or Indiana Valor?
Indiana Valor.
Indiana Valor. So we've got that coming up. And what do I have next? Let me look at the
We're
list.
going to talk some Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
And I have some trivia for Terry and Denny that I'm going to test them on.
I don't know. I'm really not.
Is it Taylor
a big,
Swift
giant
trivia?
fan.
Because I'm not going to be
No.
doing it
It's
good.
testing them on quotes, whether it is Taylor Swift or Jesus that said this thing.
Oh, I love this contest coming up. Okay, but coming up next, Annie Zaleski tells us the stories behind the songs of Taylor Swift from a new beautiful book that she's just released. We'll hear that next on the first day. 93 WIBC.
also actually maybe the problem this weekend, next weekend, with all of the traffic closures. IMPD did just release what roads are going to be changed for the weekend of her concert. Welcome back to First Day.
Oh, boy. And the city looks good with all the construction, doesn't it? Boy, oh, boy. The Circle, Monument Circle. Ooh, soldiers and sailors, I know they're just making it better, but it's hard to look at that it's all the steps have crumbled.
And everybody's wondering how they're going to get the Christmas tree lights up.
They'll go to the other side. That's a great question, how they get them up.
They
now,
have
where
to be
it
on
will be.
They have to be on both sides because
right.
of the stress, because of the physics. It could topple the mountain.
And that's where they hook them in.
Yeah.
Or where they're standing on the steps to hook them in.
Yeah, they have to do one side and then the opposite side. They can't do. They can't go around. What?
Well, let's get all hands on deck like we did for the split. We got that done early. All hands on deck for the Circle. Get that done before December.
You're
We're going to have to get another Taylor Swift concert. Right?
She is powerful, man.
She is powerful.
She is so powerful. Thank you for joining us here on the first day. 57 degrees, sunny skies in downtown Indianapolis. Beautiful day to get out there to do whatever you are doing. I know there's a Colts game coming up at 1 o'clock. Not here, though. But so maybe there's lots of fun events that you can that are happening around town. Whether you're listening to us online or on YouTube, we're up and running, streaming.
We got a lot of people listening. We got John Johnson, Road Rod, Libertarian Dragon. We've got John Johnson. I got him again.
Thank you all.
Thanks for, and Steve Mabus is on here. So
thank you guys. Thank you all so much. Guess what? We're going to talk about your favorite.
Okay, no, wait. Libertarian Dragon just commented, IN.T. Indiana Department of Taylor Traffic.
That's very good.
Pretty good.
Very good.
He's in
You're
control
right on
now.
it.
I had a chance, guys, to talk to you because I am interested in this as Taylor Swift's mega star. And I had a chance to talk to Annie Zaleski. She's a veteran music journalist who's written for Rolling Stone, Time, and Billboard. And she's got this new book. It's Taylor Swift, The Stories Behind the Songs. And I asked her, because she's been writing for a long time, and she's written about Pink and Lady Gaga, Duran Duran, and hundreds, I feel like. But I asked her, when did she start writing about artists?
You know, it's funny. I started in college. I interned at a music magazine, and they put me to work right away interviewing rock stars, and I've been doing it since then.
Oh, man. Well, it sounds like a great life. A lot of research goes into each and every one of your books. I will have to tell you, there was a guy just in here, Rob Kendall is his name, and he saw the book, and he said, I don't get it. He said, I don't get the Taylor Swift phenomenon.
I mean, to sum it up, I mean, she is a phenomenon. I mean, that's the way to sum it up. I compare her career and her impact, honestly, to the Beatles, just in the fact that, you know, her fandom spans generations. Everyone knows her. You know, everyone, even if you're not a big fan, you at least know one of her songs. And she has an economic impact, and she just makes a difference in people's lives. You know, these young people, especially who are big fans of hers, you know, she just changes their lives.
You've taken a real deep dive into Taylor Swift's catalog of music, and you were approached by the publisher to do this book. Were you already a Swiftie? Were you already a fan?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Long time. I mean, dating back to, I think, the late 2000 or the, you know, right before the 2010s. And so I think her second record is sort of when I jumped on the Taylor ship, basically. But I've seen her a bunch of times. So, yeah, I'm definitely a Swiftie.
And what was it? What was it that you said, I'm hooked?
You know, I think I've always been a big fan of pop music. And, you know, even her kind of country-leaning stuff, you know, she had pop remixes, and they were just really, really well-constructed pop songs. And so, you know, I really liked that element, but also just as a songwriter, you know, I, you know, didn't necessarily go through the same thing she was going through, but she's a very relatable songwriter talking about relationships and, you know, with her family. She's very close to her mom. You know, there's just a lot of very relatable things that she discusses. And so they're just.
What was required of you to put together a book of more than 250 Taylor Swift songs?
A lot of it was looking into, you know, what has she said about her songs? What is her inspirations in her own words? Because I wanted to make sure I had kind of her voice and intention in there. It was a lot of reading interviews, looking up, you know, liner notes, looking up old videos she's done, but also a lot of deep listening. You know, when you really get a chance to dig into an artist's catalog over time in a very compact sort of amount of time, you're ready writing a book, it gives you kind of new insights, and it helps you kind of see the connections between every era, I guess, of hers.
Explain kind of how you laid this book out.
So we ended up dividing it sort of by, first off, we used kind of her studio albums as sort of the peg. And then within that, she had some soundtrack work, she has some B-sides, some other songs that didn't really fit into that, either of those categories. And so I try to kind of arrange them in kind of the different, distinct, either around years or sort of era of her life in terms of how it's sort of organized.
Taylor Swift, the stories behind the songs, it is beautiful. Lots of photographs. The debut era, which is where you started, and that's where I began listening to Taylor Swift as a country fan. So it starts with Tim McGraw, released June of 2006. Liz Rose is a co-writer of that song, and Liz was with her on and off for how many years, and is she still a part of the writing?
I think it was through her early. I think the last album, I'd have to double check to see. She was with Liz at least for, even before her record came out, at least her first record and second record. But, I don't know if they're, they're not necessarily working together. As far as I know, they're on good terms. Liz has written other songs for other people and has won some songwriting awards with Taylor. When Taylor was a teenager, they just really kind of hit it off and just were a really good kind of working collaborative. She just kind of let Taylor go. She understood Taylor and brought out the best in her even when she was a teenager. Liz was decades older than her. Liz was actually born in the late 50s. It's a testament, I think, to just how mature and sophisticated Taylor was even from an early age, but just also the fact that, she really, for people who enjoyed songwriting and words, she really just has always hit it off with those people. And when she finds someone who's a great collaborator, she sticks with them. I think Liz wrote 17 of her officially released songs, including, You Belong With Me and Teardrops on My Guitar.
Yeah. And you tell us in the book that Drew, who she wrote about in that song, actually showed up at her house after it became a massive hit. You tell us these little nuggets of information. I love that story. We defined her in the beginning as a country star, and then she made that transition. Do we know why or what? It was obviously brilliant, but is there a story behind that transition?
First off, what's interesting is when you actually listen to her catalog, you see that she was really moving in a pop direction way before, people, I think, anticipated it. She always had designs on being a pop crossover artist. And, I think 1989 is the moment when it's like, okay, I'm going to go full on pop. And I think she just realized that in country music, she had sort of hit the ceiling, that, she'd become so popular, she was a headliner, but she realized that to kind of, to become an even bigger superstar, kind of the superstar she is now, she needed to kind of appeal to a broader audience. Red was kind of the transition album where she phased out a lot of her country stuff. And then, 1989 was a very 80s influence record. I think she was listening to Annie Lennox and Peter Gabriel, which is amazing to think about. And when you listen to the record, you hear those textures. Obviously, she loved country music, Shania Twain and the Chicks. She realized that she always had a lot of a broader sort of interest in music and wanted to explore that more.
Annie Zaleski is with us, a veteran music journalist who's written for Rolling Stone and Time and Billboard, and she's authored a new book. She's written many about all of our favorites, but this one is about Taylor Swift. It's Taylor Swift, the stories behind the songs, the connection between Taylor Swift and her fans, the Swifties.
It's so interesting because it's so broad. When you look at her, since my book has come out, I've had friends who have sent photos of me of their young daughters kind of reading the book. And you can just tell that they're in awe of her. She is just someone that they look up to because she's so confident, and that the songs she writes are just, so relatable to people growing up. But I think she captures the human experience. She captures the up and downs of, what it's like growing up. But there's always an optimism to it. And I think, from writing the book, that's sort of what I determined is that, she, at the end of the day, even when she's singing about things that are heartbreaking or upsetting, there's always this sense that tomorrow's going to be better, or, the next relationship might work, or, even if I'm having a bad day with friends, tomorrow something could turn the corner. And I think that's really relatable to fans too. Taylor's always sort of there for them, kind of rooting them on in a sense.
Do you think it's dangerous when she speaks out about politics?
No, I think this is something that as she's kind of gotten older, as her career has sort of progressed, I think she's decided that, she has a big enough platform that she should, and that she should, encourage people to vote and use her platform really responsibly to try to, encourage, women to, think for them, to encourage women to go out and, get informed about what's going on in the world and decide for them, what makes sense to kind of vote for. I admire her for doing it, because it's a lot of people don't, and it can be a very scary thing. And so I think it's pretty brave for her to do that too.
Annie, you said you've been to several concerts. Can you describe the demographic of a Taylor Swift fan?
All ages. I've taken my mom. I took my mom to the 1989 tour, which was great. Taken my now husband to another tour. All ages. Obviously, there's a lot of families, though. A lot of parents bringing their kids. There's a lot of Swifties who've been there since the beginning. A lot of younger kids too are going to their first concert. People dressing up. I think that's the best part. The creativity has just been off the charts.
In researching this book, what didn't you know about her music, and that was kind of eye-opening for you?
Obviously, I always knew that, as a young child and, as a teenager, she was writing a lot of songs and doing all this stuff. But it really struck me, even kind of reinforced just how unique and what a kind of a singular talent she was. She was writing songs in math class. But even before that, she has a massive stash of unreleased songs that she wrote that have kind of been circulating as demos. And she's just also prolific. And I think that's the thing. I think now that we've seen all the vault tracks come out, we realize, oh, yeah, she's always writing songs. She always is inspired by things. It's pretty phenomenal.
She is the whole package. She really is a superstar. If you had that chance to talk to her and ask her one question, what would it be?
Oh, my goodness. I think I'd want to ask her, I just want to know, about her songwriting. Even, writing this book has even made it more curious to me in terms, I would ask her, who would she want to collaborate with? She hasn't yet.
First of all, we need to know where to get the book.
You can order it online. I know it's sold at places like Target, at Walmart, your favorite bookstore, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I've seen it at Costco, actually. I've seen it at grocery stores.
Okay. Who do you want to write about next?
I've written about a lot of my favorites. That's the thing. It's Stevie Nicks.
Who, by the way, there's a relationship between Taylor and Stevie Nicks, right?
100%. Taylor actually mentioned Stevie Nicks by name in a new song from the Tortured Poets Department, Clara Bow. Stevie was at Saw the Eras tour, and Taylor played the song for her, and it was all very emotional, and I was crying, and Stevie was crying. It was great.
237 pages. How many? This is a big one. Beautiful stories behind the songs, and that's what it's called, The Stories Behind the Songs. Taylor Swift by Annie Zaleski. And Annie, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. I hope you'll come back for the next story you write and talk to us about it as well.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
It is 12:30. Kielynn, are we going to play the game now or later?
I say we play it now.
Right now, are you sure you're okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's go.
To get us in the mood for Taylor Swift coming to town, there's been plenty of events planned, but to really get you in the mood, we have a little guessing game.
Okay.
Now I'm going to give you a...
Denny and I are going to do really well because we're Swifties.
I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of concerned.
I'm not a Swiftie.
Okay.
What do you mean? Don't be telling my friends I'm a Swiftie.
Denny is in contact. We may get an interview with her next weekend.
Oh, that would be
He's
fun.
in contact. That's how much of a Swiftie he is.
Can we get
Maybe
to
you could
the
be
game?
one of the
Okay, let's go.
dancers.
Hurry.
Okay. I'm going to give you a quote, and your guess is either between Jesus said it, is something from the scripture, or is it a Taylor Swift lyric?
Okay.
All right. Number 1. You have given up on your first love.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, that's Taylor Swift.
That's Jesus. It's from Revelation 2:4.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry, Jesus.
Wait a minute. Jesus isn't quoted in Revelations,
Well,
is he?
it's from the scripture.
Okay. I was going to
From the
say.
Bible.
Now you're messing with my brain.
Oh, sure, Denny.
All
Sure.
right.
Okay,
sure,
good
sure.
one. We didn't get it
okay,
right.
Okay, number 2. Hell was the journey, but it brought me to heaven.
Oh, that's Jesus.
No, I
No,
think
wait a
that's
minute.
Taylor
That's Taylor Swift. Say it again.
Hell was the journey, but it brought me to heaven.
That's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I think it's Taylor Swift.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yay!
Taylor Swift.
Look at us Swifties.
Wow. Don't call me a Swiftie.
Give
What's
us
the
another
matter
one,
with you,
Kielynn, hurry.
woman?
Number 3. Remember how I said I'd die for you.
Oh, that's Jesus.
I think that is Jesus.
Taylor Swift.
I think Jesus said it too.
He did die for us. So, yeah, I can see it.
Okay,
but
so
it was
we
a
got
Taylor
it wrong?
Swift lyric.
You're
We're
messing with
wrong.
my Sunday, Kai.
Wow, what a good
having so much
Is there
fun.
another one?
All right.
One more. Are you sure? Should we go to
Let's do
break?
2. We're fine.
Okay.
All the liars are calling me out.
Oh, Jesus. No, wait. All the liars are calling me out. Oh, that's Taylor.
No, Jesus wouldn't say calling me
No,
out. Taylor Swift said
That is Taylor Swift. Okay, and then the final one.
Denny.
When you see the leaves come out, you know summer is here.
Oh.
I wanted this one for sure for you, Terry.
Yeah, that's Taylor Swift.
I'd say Taylor Swift.
Jesus. Matthew 24:32.
You got a different Bible than I got.
Wow, what a great contest.
Can we do this Elvis or Jesus next week? Come on.
Wow. I'm shocked that we didn't do so well. Anyway, that's
Don't
fun,
look at
Kielynn.
me. I was giving good answers, and you would wink at me,
That's
and I
Denny
went to
Smith. Yeah, that's Jenny Smith. All right, did you hear Indiana Fever parting ways with head coach Christy Sides after just a couple seasons? That happened. That announcement came just last hour. But more news is coming up next. 93 WIBC.
Hey, Dime. Hey, hey, hey! Don't stop me, don't stop me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Don't stop me, don't stop me. Have a good time, good time.
We sure are having a good time. Welcome back to the first day. 93 WIBC. Professional women's tackle football is making its way back to Indiana. The Indiana Valor is here, and they're going to be starting their season their practice January, and then their season starts in May. The founding owner of the team, Christian Alesho, joins us now. Christian, thanks for taking time.
Thank you.
We know football, obviously.
Right.
We love it. We're Americans. We get it. Explain the difference that people will be seeing as they're watching and as your season starts in January.
You're absolutely right. We do know football, but it's a different sport. Same game, different sport, right? So it is going to look, I guess, a little bit different from what you typically expect out of a football product, but not incredibly different, though. We've got a group of talented athletes, very, very skilled women that we are developing into football players. Some of them have had experience. We've got some players that are coming to us from other teams, namely the Derby City Dynamite, the Cincinnati Cougars, who are all Indiana residents. They just had nowhere to play here, so they've been traveling to play for those teams. But now that we're here, they're coming to us. So we've got experienced ones, we've got some inexperienced ones, but overall, by the time we get rolling, practices in January, games will start in May, and we're going to have I think a pretty proficient product that people will enjoy.
You guys on Saturday had your pro combine, your tryouts for the team. Can you talk about what you guys went through for a tryout for something that's new and building up from the ground?
Sure. It looked a lot like what you expect of the NFL Combine, which I'm sure Indianapolis residents are very familiar with as we have it here at Lucas Oil Stadium. So it's pretty much those same drills, just in a truncated format where they have had many days to go over all the individual position groups doing their drills. Ours was kind of just confined to the 1 day. Things that you would expect from an NFL Combine, just with women.
Talk about the women that showed up and showed out for this tryout.
Sure.
For the combine.
Sure. We've been fortunate that a lot of the women that showed up last Saturday were people that we already knew, mainly because we've been hosting workouts every Sunday leading up to the tryout day, just to kind of get them acclimated to moving their body in a football way and to growing that football education so that they could have a good tryout, right? We didn't want to set them up for failure, essentially, by just throwing them out there and saying, do this drill. So we spent the last 6 weeks leading up to it training them on how to do it. So a lot of those women came out, and the age ranges were everywhere, right? We've had from 18 years old all the way up to, I think, our oldest was our kicker, Kat, at 43. She came out to try out, and all different walks of life, all different areas of Indiana. We had one came from Michigan to come do this. So all different types of professionals. We had an IMPD officer. We had forklift drivers. We had welders. We had nurses. We've had just all the different professions you could possibly think of came out to do this because they've got an itch to play football.
We're talking with Christian Alesho, the founding owner of the Indiana Valor. There's been a lot of thought that goes into this. One of the biggest things is the branding. Can you talk about why, you have a background in racing. Why didn't you go with a racing name instead of Indiana Valor?
Yeah, I think with racing, yes, I think that would have been the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, of picking a brand. But it's something that we've seen before, right? You've got the Fueled in hockey, you've got the Pacers, you've got the Indianapolis Octane, you've got a lot of team names that are centered around racing, which makes complete sense, right? We are the racing capital of the world here in Indianapolis, but I also felt that there's probably something else about Indiana that's equally as cool. And so I started to do some research into, other things that go on around here. And the brand kind of bounced around as we were tossing ideas around. We were going to go with something maybe agriculture related at first because, we're a big producer of corn, right? We're
perfect timing for the FFA convention being here too.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I saw all those guys at the convention center when I came up the street here. You're absolutely right. I think we're the number one producer of popcorn in the world. The entire world, is here in Indiana. So I thought, okay, maybe we go something agriculture. But eventually, we wanted something that just kind of really spoke to the spirit of what Indiana was always supposed to be, what we've seen just historically. And that led me to the statue that's right outside your office here, which is Lady Victory, that Soldiers and Sailors Monument right there. Something that a lot of people may not know is that Indianapolis has the second most war memorials in the entire country outside of Washington, D.C. And so looking into more of that and kind of picking our most famous statue, which is this one right here in the circle, and its significance that it played, in that this was the meeting area, right, for all military movements, right, throughout the wars for which that statue was even built, right? They all met up right there. I said, no, wait a minute. I think we're on to something. We got to tell this story. This is something that is significant about Indiana that I don't think gets talked about enough, is the bravery of this state, the bravery that the inhabitants of this state have held and have exemplified. It means something to be a Hoosier. I want to remind people of that. This is something to be proud of. It means something to be a Hoosier. And what's so cool about it, it comes down to that bravery. And that's where we thought, okay, let's tie in bravery with the fact that we have the most war memorials outside of Washington, D.C., and that's where the name Valor kind of stuck, right? And Valor, it's a quality, right? It's not a person, place, or thing. It's an internal quality that a human possesses, right? And it's bravery, especially in battle, right? It's that thing inside of you that tells you not to run when you are facing an opponent. It's the thing that tells you not to run when you're facing an obstacle. It's the thing that tells you not to run, not to flee, not to retreat. This is all the things we want to represent as a football team. 100%. But even more than a football team, we want to represent that as human beings, as residents of our great state. And so it just tied in really, really nicely. And we chose the eagle specifically because it's the highest point on Lady Victory, right? We know that the Indy 11, they also use imagery of Lady Victory as a part of their branding and their logo, but we wanted specifically that eagle. It's at the very top of her head, and it means something. And of course, in American iconography, the eagle symbolizes freedom, and I think that's another big part of what this is, right? These women are now free to play football. I think it's a big thing. And that eagle too, what's cool about that eagle is that it's not landing, it's taking off, right? The eagle on her head is taking off. And that's exactly what we're doing here with this, right? This is women's football taking flight. I think that's a great story to tell, and it all just made sense. And that's why we went with the Valor.
And it's truly great. Indeed.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you, Christian Alasho. He's the founding owner of the Indiana Valor. Thank you for bringing women's tackle football back to Indiana. I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm excited
I love
for
it.
their season.
January they start practice, and then they move on from there. He'll be back. We'll have him back in early January to talk more about the team as it gets ready to go. I think it's pretty cool. Surprised that women want to play tackle football.
And there were
pretty cool.
More than 170 people that showed up for tryouts. So it's
pretty
for real.
awesome. If I could mention quickly before we go to break, I had a conversation with Lily Darling from Hamilton County Humane Society, or Humane Society of Hamilton County. They have 8 featured animals right now, dogs and cats, and they're offering a discount right now on adoptions for Halloween. And so you can get until the 31st, $31 for an adoption.
For a
and
pup
they've got some beautiful creatures out there, and I hope you'll take a look at, let's see, hshc.org. Those animals need a forever home, and they are doing their best to keep them happy until you get there. Again, go to hshc.org. Coming up, food news on 93 WIBC.
indeed. Oh my goodness.
12:53. Woo!
I can't wait to tell you about what we're tasting today.
Okay.
Woo!
My mouth on fire.
You talk about it.
Before we get to that, though, I want to mention some quick things. The two biggest things happening this week, Halloween and Taylor Swift come into town.
Yep.
So with Taylor Swift being in town, many different places are partaking in giving eras-themed things, like Ash and Elmer Cider, Sun King Brewing, they have their cherry limeade ale. Filigree's Bakery, they have macarons. Okay, you can tell Denny's ready.
What is the matter with you?
There are also events happening for if you're a Swiftie or want to just experience everything. There are events around Indy happening where you don't have to pay $2,000 to go to the Taylor Swift concert, right?
Right.
So there's the Nevermore Brunch Fest. There's Beach Grove's Main Street. They're having a block party and a dance party. Denny, you would love this.
Okay.
Saturday, 6 to 9, the Main Street in Beach Grove. You should be there. And I think the convention's even doing some stuff for people who don't have tickets. Something like that.
At the convention center?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pretty fun. And then for Halloween, McDonald's has their Boo Buckets that are free with Happy Meal purchases. I've seen plenty of them running around at the zoo. Burger King's has their Addams Family menu. Krispy Kreme has their Ghostbusters collection. I'll send some food deals out for you for Halloween when it comes up. But I want to get to this tasting real quick. It's from Lauren's Alcohol-Free Beverages, Lauren's AF Beverages. They have some in-store places, but this one, we have a little Bloody Mary, which I thought was pretty perfect for a Halloween.
Can you see it? Hers is in a pretty glass. Beautiful Bloody Mary that has now scorched our esophagus.
It's got lots of peppers. It's got Dijon mustard in it. It's got a little bit of distilled vinegar.
It's good.
It's got tomatillo, tomato paste, and then it's got some horseradish. But they've got all these peppers. It's got red jalapeno, red bell peppers, chipotle peppers, the powder. It's got garlic. I'm reading this. Agave syrup. And they probably tried to tone it down with raisins and sugar, if you believe it. But
raisins?
It's sort of...
Is there raisins in that?
It does say raisins on there.
My throat is on fire.
Anyway.
It's good. It's really a good mix.
Like
And
Chris and Andy, they said that it had a bite to it, but they didn't warn us just how much of a bite it had.
Yes,
I like a good Bloody Mary. Don't you like a Bloody Mary?
I haven't had one for a long time.
This is Kielyn's first one ever in her whole life.
Never had a Bloody Mary before, so it's... Libertarian Dragon said,
She
keep
said
it
to
down,
me,
Kielynn. We're not throwing up like Nigel. None of that. Promise you.
Here's what Kielynn said. Do you want to take that one? Do you want to take mine with you, Terry?
Well, she's going to be with children. You're not.
This whole thing?
Right. But it is incredibly spicy.
You can't just down this like a shot. Please
Ladies,
do not.
I love the show
It's
today.
good.
Or
This
else
was
I
a
will be
fun
blowing
show.
fire.
It was a fun
like
show.
dragon.
And I just want to remind everybody again,
Monsters.
Kielynn, thank you. Just want to mention again to our friends at HVAF. We're thinking about you. If you need anything, please let us know. HVAF.org if you can help them out. Their building is the one that was on fire last night, and a lot of destruction at 10th and Penn. So again, HVAF.org if you can send a little money their way. We're glad you were with us today. Kylan, should we wind it up?
Yeah, let's
She can't
do
talk.
it.
She can't talk.
My face is
Denny,
on fire.
thank you.
You betcha.
Thanks for today,
Happy
Kylan. Great job.
Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Go Colts. It's 12:56.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review